Hi, I'm going to build a Chat GPT enabled text expert using one of the newer API elements in the Chat GPT API. There's something called, and I understand this is actually a new addition to the API, there's something called file search in the Chat GPT API. I haven't played around with these much before, so I don't know how new this is, but I saw some older examples and it used to be extremely complicated to upload files and then to reference those files. From what I understand and from what I see from looking at these examples, they just made it much simpler now. There's actually a tool specifically for this purpose, and it's called file search. What file search does is that it lets you upload a number of files. So basically, it's a normal thing that you can ask GPT to analyze and answer questions about content, but you can enrich that content with uploaded files. So here's a very good explanation. You guys go to the API, you go into file search, and then there's like a 5-point coding sample here, which is really cool. It goes step by step, and it shows how you can first you create an assistant. So I think this is also a new API, this assistant, and then you upload the files. Here you basically just give it a list of file names. So these guys in the example, they look stock filings and so on. I am using what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a tax expert. So tax expert will help me do my taxes. So this is a document, an IRS document that describes what are legitimate business deductions. And what I'm trying to do is upload this document and potentially a couple more documents and maybe even my tax returns eventually, and then ask it questions and try to figure out what deductions exist and what the alternatives are. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun and it's going to be very useful, and I think it's a good example of how the true excitement and the promise of all of these technologies is no longer the programming itself, it is how it's applied. This is actually a really useful application because taxes are one of the most boring things, and something helping us analyze them is just absolutely wonderful in my opinion. So here, business expenses is the document. This is what I'm uploading. So when I go to the code, I am specifying, I downloaded this document, I put it in a local folder. It's here. So it's here, the highlighted item. And okay. And so I am going to read this item in. So the first step is creating the assistant, and then I have to upload the files. So this is step 2. Okay, so now it has the files. So let's go to step 3. Step 3 is step 2 was upload the files. Step 3 is update the assistant to use the new vector store. So that's this statement here. So I created a new vector store with a couple of in my case it's one uploaded file, but it could be more, and eventually I will add more files to it. And then the next step, okay, so the assistant is now using a vector store with my files in it. And then you can create these threads, and I think every time you can actually send it new files. I commented this out. This is in their example, but every time I think you initialize this thing once, and every time you run it, you can send more files to it, which is great. But I don't really need that functionality at this moment. I can just give you the files up front. So I commented this out. That's why there are no attachments when I'm creating the thread. And then the fifth step is it just gets the result back. So I would also like to show that these steps are here in the code example under file search. And you have to, there are a couple of gotchas, like you have to use GPT-4 Turbo. GPT-4 doesn't work, for example. I got an error message when I tried to use that. But it basically works. The last step, I just want to say that about it, that it gives you an option here to, let's see, it's step 5 with streaming and without streaming. I chose without streaming just because it's shorter, less things to go wrong, but I guess with streaming is probably there in case you have a lot of data coming and going back and forth. All right, so let's run this. I put a couple of breakpoints here and I'm just gonna run it. So the first thing is I'm creating an assistant. Then I'm gonna upload the files, or in my case, just this one file, which is the IRS document describing business expenses. You know, what you can deduct and what you can deduct. It's complicated enough. And I'll be delighted if Chat GPT analyzes it for me and helps understand what the rules are. So the next step is I'm uploading this file into a new vector store. And then I'm gonna make my assistant use that vector store. Okay, so that's the next step. And creating the thread. Now, the question I'm asking here, you guys can see, summarize the legitimate tax deductions. What legitimate tax deductions are discussed in about 3 words each? That's just one question I asked, but obviously you can ask much more involved questions, which is what I'm going to do. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm hoping I'm getting a lot of benefit out of this when I'm gonna do my taxes. So, but this is a good way to start because I didn't want to get a lot of output. All right, so I'm going to get this thread going, and then I'm gonna just check the result. I'm gonna get the result back, and let's see what it does, what it writes out. What legitimate tax deductions are discussed in this document? Summarize it in 3 words or less. So let's see what it comes out with. Okay, let's print it out. Okay, so it says the document outlines various legitimate tax deductions that can be claimed on business expenses. Here's a summary of these deductions described in about 3 words each. Qualified reforestation costs, retired asset removal, barrier removal costs, startup cost deduction, repayment deduction, blah, 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 employee benefit programs, property transfer deductions, minimal fringe benefits, business meal deductions, legal and professional fees, and advertising and promotional costs. So I'm going to look at how well this maps to the document, but I think, I mean, obviously I recognize a couple of them, so they're not far from what they should be, but I also don't see a couple of them that I expected to see. So, okay, so these deductions cover a wide range of business activities and expenses, showcasing the various areas where businesses can claim deductions to potentially reduce their taxable income. Beautiful. So, so this is I think this was an experiment I did because the head of NVIDIA gave a speech in which he made a point that the best way to prepare for the AI world, where some programmers might be replaced by AI, is not by becoming a better programmer necessarily, but by finding industries and domains where AI is deployed.
Co-founder and CEO of NVIDIA, the company that is at the heart of the AI revolution, recently made a comment about what kids should learn in the future. And let me spoil it to you, it's not computer science or programming.
I'm going to say something and it's going to sound completely opposite of what people feel. You probably recall, over the course of the last 10 years, 15 years, almost everybody who sits on a stage like this would tell you it is vital that your children learn computer science. Everybody should learn how to program. And in fact, it's almost exactly the opposite. It is our job to create computing technology such that nobody has to program.
The true expertise is going to be the application of all this technology to a domain. And I think it's important to look at applications and how it can be applied in a domain. This is how to apply Chat GPT to taxes.
The countries, the people that understand how to solve a domain problem in digital biology or in education of young people or in manufacturing or in farming, those people who understand domain expertise now can utilize technology that is readily available to you. You now have a computer that will do what you tell it to do to help.
And a tool can be made out of this. And the same thing, you can do the same kind of thing, building apps for other domains as well. Thanks for listening. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe and mark it with a like. Thank you.